Welcome to the Goddamn Legends podcast. This is our first ever podcast. Hope you enjoy it. The hosts are Chris
and Joel. And our first guest is Mr. Aart, who is my next door neighbour and a great friend of Chris's.
He's an 89-year-old Dutchman. He lives in a house with no electricity, and that's where we did the interview today.
We hope you enjoy listening.
Oh God, you have questions ready.
Yep. Chris is organised man. You nervous, Art?
Yeah.
I'm nervous as well.
Oh!
All right, we're interviewing Aart Bark. He's from Holland,
Yes.
and now he's moved to Australia.
Yes.
And he's a very interesting life. So my first question, Art, is when and where were you born?
Just in a small village outside Amsterdam. In the village where for more than 100 years that was the biggest industrial area in the world. There were 1,100 windmills. Building boat building, importing wood, and so everything was done by wind power. And so we went to school on clogs. And I wrote to the guy that in Holland the other day I had some questions, and I was reminiscing. And I said in the letter, you know, these days kids do joyriding, they pinch a car and they leave it somewhere. But so if this is my street, this was water. And so everybody that lived on the water, sort of a little canal, they would shit in the canal. They had the dunny was opposite, yeah. So in wintertime when it was ice, that's now all. So he was a factory that's still here. Factory, you know, the have you seen the Maggie that's put in the soup? It doesn't matter. So we used to pinch big barges. You know,
with engines on the back?
No. We would
Like a floating platform.
Big
Yeah.
and then
Sounds like hard work.
opposite my house was this windmill, but it was dilapidated. So we liked to play in it, but it was dangerous because there was a guy with 2 Alsatians. So I'm still now dead scared of Alsatian because once I was climbing over and the dogs came, so I fell down on my back and got away with it. So that's why I'm still. And then afterwards the police was training, because it was also our soccer field. The police was training Alsatians. They had all leather. Yeah. No Alsatians for me. Helen has 2.
And what did your dad do?
Worked in the chocolate factory.
His name's not Willy Wonka, is it? You know the movie?
No.
Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
I
Factory?
don't look more movies.
The book? Roald Dahl?
No.
Ah, it's a famous book.
See, when there was a fight between boys, they would take out their clogs and or when they were, say, running away from danger, then they would throw the clogs away or in their hands, and then on socks was much quicker. Yeah, so clogs would stay outside the door. I had always big socks to go in it, but there were sort of leather loafers. So when you leave this outside in the house, you have sort of like very, very soft, like lambskin or goat skin, very soft. So you had actually like loafers in the house. I was 12 when the war started. It was curfew at 8 o'clock. You couldn't go outside. And then, in the end, then there was no electricity anymore. So in the last, so it lasted 5 years, and I think the last 2 was no electricity. So I made a stand in the living room. I put my bike, and I thought I have to do homework. So my sister and my brother, they can do the biking, but no, my mother said no. So we did an hour each. So I did my homework. I did my studying on the handlebar. Okay, so the last year in the school, I was 15, and I had already been picked up by the Gestapo
Wow.
for sabotage. So 15, 16 was dangerous. You could be sent to Russia to work or something. And so I thought of sleeping in the ceiling, but the Germans would put the bayonet in the ceiling. So we lived in the ground floor, and near the door when you come in, there's a hatch, and in the winter you open it up and you turn off the water supply. If you don't turn it off, then your pipes break. Yeah. So it's about this high. So when you go in here, you could never see whether there is a brick wall here or a brick wall there. So I was going to build a brick wall here, halfway. When you see here, you can't see is it this, and that. And then I did that after midnight in the next street. And a collaborator must have dropped me in, because next time I was arrested. So I had to get out of that. Now in the end, they called my mother, and they actually sent me away. Well, take the snot nose. They called me snot nose. So, but way before that, he used the Olympic Stadium in Amsterdam. Water here. We used to play sailing boats, canoes, and behind was, in the olden days, trees would lie in the water maybe 10 or 20 years to season, I guess. So we used to play on these, well, they were huge, and diving in the water. So, and so on the path, so this is stadium, this is water, and this is a towpath. I have a painting, a towpath. In the olden days, there was, if it was a boat, and there was a horse here, attached to the boat, the horse would walk on the path.
Yeah. Pull the log.
Yeah. So that's called towpath. We used to play there, and then one day we were sitting, and there's a German guy coming this way. And he was a poof, and he wanted us to do things. We were only then, maybe 13, 14. So, the Germans were crazy about Down syndrome people, Jews, and gay. That was an absolute no-no. So, I went to the commandant, and he took it seriously, shit. Took us in the car, went to the airport, all barbed wire. The 2 little boys, 13-year-old, so we went in the dining room. I've never seen so many men, white-faced. Commandant came in, whoop! And the little boys, look, we never found the guy. But it was impressive, I must admit. See, these things, when do these things happen in your life? See, that is something that is very special, I guess. So then we went to I wanted to be a pilot, but I had high blood pressure, we discovered. So then I went to Naval College for 2 years. So when I was 20, I joined the merchant navy, cargo ships, as an apprentice. So I was sent to the West Indies for 14 months. Well, that's your question. What's your first job?
Yeah, okay. So what was your first job, was it? Oh, wow.
Mm.
So how long were you in the merchant navy for?
8 years. Because then I got married.
To a Dutch woman, or?
No, we used to, in the West Indies, so we used to have a head office in New York, and then, we used to have Dutch islands there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we used to go South American and the Dutch islands, and every 3 weeks we go to New York. And then at night, if you had a night free, you would go to a Dutch club, and that's where I discovered a woman that I was going to marry. So the next, a couple of months later, I got off in Baltimore, and then went by bus to New York. Going in the bus. We're talking about I was 28. We're talking about 1956, 56. So when I go and sit in the bus, I sit at the back of the bus. But I didn't know that in New York or in America, only the blacks sit in the back of the bus. I didn't give a stuff. I just because in the West Indies, all you see is black people. So there was, and they looked at me, and only afterwards. Can you imagine? I'm talking. So that is only 50 years ago, that the blacks still. This is amazing. This is dreadful. It was always raining in bloody Holland. So my wife said, let's go to Australia. Oh, okay. 6 months later, sold the house and came here. Oh, in the 6 months, I was still, when the ship comes in Amsterdam, the officers and the people want to go home, because they're away for another 3 months. And so I discovered, but there has to be an officer on the board for the insurance. Nothing to do, but you have to be, your diploma has to be on board. So I did double shifts. Because I lived in Amsterdam on the bike to my mother and then back and forth. I earned a mint, so I came here to Skyville with all my furniture. All my furniture and a VW. So for the first 12 years, I did school teaching, cleaning toilets in North Sydney, and taxi driving for 12 years.
And what sort of was it a big sort of culture shock? Was it hard to settle in?
Yes, but remember, I had been for 8 years all over the world in poverty-stricken countries, and so that's what a huge difference. See, I love to be in these crummy, poverty-stricken areas. That suits me. But this is not poverty-stricken. Say Windsor is dull. It is so dull. It is. There's not. Okay. Yeah. Question.
Well, so what were your first impressions when you came to Australia compared
Very
to Holland?
bad one. So
compared to Holland, what was it like?
Well, I still have this problem. Now, there was a problem. I had an 18-year-old daughter, and she came sick. She was already sick in Holland, but nobody knew what it was. And so on the ship in Aden, we had to get off. So I got off in Aden with the family, stayed in Aden for 3 weeks, then came here. So then from Aden here to plane, was government pays that. And they drove me to Skyville. And my daughter only lasted 3 weeks. And so one morning we had 6 cabins. That used to be, during the war,
the bunkers
military.
at National Park.
Yeah, So we had 4 cabins, because all my furniture. And then one morning I walked all the way to Skyville Road. What's Skyville Road? I said, shit, raining. I came here because it was always raining in Holland, but it can rain here so dreadfully hard. What do I do? Can you imagine standing without car in Skyville Road?
Yeah.
What the hell did I do? Always had straight away a job. But because I didn't have, well, I'm not a school teacher at all. But because I'm 500 times better than anybody else, because I'm not a school teacher, I taught 8 subjects. Far out, 8 subjects. Music, art, French, Spanish, Latin, English, geography, mathematics, 8. In Latin I was only 3 weeks ahead of the boys because I liked it.
Yeah.
So I was studying myself to teach the boys.
How many languages can you speak?
7. It only lasted just over a year, and then a guy in the front seat gave me so instantly dismissed. In mid of the year, the bishop came. Outside the school, the whole bloody school on their knees. Baki kept on staying restrained. I can still remember. You know, kissing his ring, that's not my cup of tea. And then at the end of the year, that was the worst thing that happened to me. I sat through the staff meeting, and then the replacement, who was the tall brother, forget his bloody name, he said, we're not doing technical drawing anymore. I said, brother, can you be just you want to get rid of me? Well, I said, man, this is sick, man. You're a religious fellow. You let me sit through the staff meeting and then tell me to fuck off. So then I went to Oak Hill as art teacher. We wanted an art teacher. Well, that was the best years of my life in Oak Hill.
Huh.
And the other day I realized whenever I have problems, I seem to be old Dutch, I think. I'm lucky. I'm a survivor. I have to win. They had given me the worst class for Maroon or something. The worst class. And Mick Ryan come to me once. He said, I found mistakes in the boys. Later on I thought, I'm only the art teacher. He doesn't know that I am a merchant navy officer in navigation. I would piss on you. And so he took it away, gave me geography.
Did you ever teach Sam Caltabiano?
Yeah,
And what was he like?
I have kept, and I still have, now I chucked most of them away, I have still art that I've kept for 50 years. Brilliant work. And Sam, have you got anything for me? I said, no, Sam. He was then he's 7, I think. So I know very little about Sam, but all he knows is, I'll give you 5 of the best. When I came here in Australia, I couldn't believe my eyes. The strap was already abolished in Holland 100 years before I came here. And see all these brothers with the whack. In the end, I had no choice. So I had my belt.
You must do it.
And one boy, I thought I had learned my lesson, but obviously I didn't. In I still know his name, Monday. Huge fellow, big hands. And he had to have 6 of the best in front of the class. But usually, do this. No.
Which?
Monday looked me straight in the eye and he took 6. I thought, shit, boy, I admire you heaps. So I thought, now this is my last step. In Oak Hill, I started again because everybody else did. So your father still know, I give you 6 of the best. But usually I used to, Master Johnson, I never learned Christian names. Oh, Master Johnson, Master Riviera, 1 cross, 2 cross. Did you hear me? Yes, sir. Because 3 was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Out of the Bible, Matthew 1. In Oak Hill, the teachers were in charge of the yard. Papers, Master Johnson? Put yes, sir. Yes, sir. And it was a boy called Riviera. Sit, Master. And he looked at me. Sort of, same as the boy in Ashfield. Unfortunately, for Mr. Riviera, I had a pie in my hand with tomato sauce and wham in its face. And 10 boys standing around. It was my most brilliant night. So his father wanted to tell Brother Lotte to get rid of me, but they lost. But I had a big book with notes, and that disappeared. It's not easy to be a teacher. In Ashfield, I had a blue VW, or I don't think I ever had problems there. They were demolishing the old monastery. So because I had only 5 acres in Glenhaven, I started to collect 50 bricks in my VW. Sandstone, the old sandstone bricks, every day about 50 or 60. And I don't know what happened, but one day, just the last day of the holiday, or the term, big stretches along my car. So somebody had the shits with me, I guess. And so the same happened in Oak Hill. Big, with all my notes, I think, I forget, mathematics or something. And later on we found it in the incinerator, half burnt, and we discovered who did it, and his father paid me the time I had to spend to write that. Yeah. But so, it's not easy to be a teacher. Memorizing has already declined 10%. And it will go further, because if I have an appointment with the doctor, day beforehand, they remind me of the appointment. You sent me another. This is your new system.
Yeah.
And I was still in Richmond. Well, we had a lesson. I said, fuck this. I said, let me have food. Was Joel again? No, we made the appointment. But you're in that area now. You hop in your car, seatbelt. Yeah? Cling, cling, cling. Oh, yeah. We don't have to think anymore.
What advice would you give to say a particularly young person, or even to Chris and I? Like, what kind of general life advice would you give?
That is the most difficult question. Because I'm 89 and still healthy, and still this is 100% still.
Yeah, you're doing amazing.
You know why? Because I live like my grandmother. I eat like my grandmother. I don't have showers. I don't have phones. I don't watch television. I don't have 500 lights. Why have so many so people cancer. They're all day in electric currents. Kerosene lamp. And normal eating, no drinking, no smoking. And working. Always working. I'm still studying now a bit better. Portuguese or Romanian. What for? I don't know. But so when I go to bed, I repeat everything. So I'm now lesson 6. So I go all the time, Romanian, both in Portuguese, and then I fall asleep, hopefully.
After a bit of Jim Beam.
Eh?
A bit of Jim Beam to help you sleep.
Oh, absolutely.
What's the worst part about not having electricity? Anything that like...
Can you imagine that if I had now still children, I couldn't have a family. Because I wrote in one of my books that the most difficult job somebody has is to be a parent. Because you're not in charge anymore. Imagine here, 2 kids, kerosene lamps, get stopped, they go to the neighbor to watch TV.
What about like the future art and like technology? Like, what do you think this area or just kind of the world in general?
You
would
wanted
look
to
like
have your
in, say, 50
your
years?
first question. What would my advice be?
Yeah. Like that.
Well, it's not so difficult. The only thing you have to do is... okay. I tell you first what I don't do. So, I don't have TV. I don't know anything about, once in a while, a good film, but there's hardly ever a film. No TV, no newspaper. Because this is all sensation. People want to be entertained. I don't want to be entertained. I'm too busy. But see, you can go back to... I can go back to my grandmother. So that's 90 years ago. But you can't go back that far. And I also know that you can't... It's so difficult what you ask me, because I was brought up with horse and cart. Now, I'm computer literate. Don't ask me to press a button because I can't. Don't ask me to move the... No. So it's just as well that people don't live to be 200 years because they wouldn't survive. It's amazing that I still survive because you can't stop evolution. When I sit in North Treatment with the lady, she has 2 kids, one 12 and one 8. The boy comes out of bed about 10. Then they lie on the couch and the TV is always on. And they watch these insane kids programs that are not kids. They are things with box heads and That's sick. That's not entertainment. This morning she was, and I was looking, it was 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I did professional memory training. And I had once a student, he was insane. Sometimes he sat under the table, sometimes he sat in the corner standing on a freezer, but he's a nice kid. Always in soldier uniform. I said one day, you and I, the teacher doesn't know anything, I'm going to teach you a special code that only we know. I taught him the timetables in 3 weeks because special code. If we did words, I had words on cards, I had to move it, otherwise he would not pay attention. So I sat there, it's the only kid I have. And then he read it. But I had to go all the way to... So, the secret is a black car that stands in the street is not noticed. A yellow car that tears around the corner, so color and movement. And that's the secret now of attracting. These kids just... I don't think they even see what happens. They are, that's the word, mesmerized. Something that moves. So, for you cannot stop progress. That's no way. Oh, this is so difficult. What do you? I suppose keep it simple. Don't give in to everybody, commercial people or whatever. They try to get you to accept what they have, motorbikes or cars or I don't know. But if you stay with your feet on the ground, you don't have to have... In my days, pure economy. In Amsterdam, well, yeah, there was only one light in the house, in the living room. And if you went to the kitchen, well, you had to go through the hallway. I was dead scared in dark. Kitchen, turned on the light. Do you honestly think that you left the light on in the kitchen? No way. There was only one light in the house. You drive around. So I would say, not that I'm, not to save the world. No, forget about it. The world will end anyway. And as you say, we're going back to the apes. So there is no stopping. But you can make it more significant in your life. And keep it simple. Try to get free from indoctrination, because everything around you is indoctrination.
What was your earliest memory? Or a couple?
I suppose when I was 5, the way I played with friends. A very popular toy was very complicated. What they call a flying Dutchman. It is. Have you ever seen in the railway when people check the railway line?
Oh, that thing, the seesaw with the...
Yeah.
They go along the railway line
And they
by
pump
hand power.
Pump the thing, yeah.
Well,
I love those.
As a kid's toy, full wheels, very sturdy thing, you had to do this.
And
So that was, so we were maneuvering, and ran, yeah. So that was, I suppose, a famous toy. And then learning to ride a bike. Of course, in the family, you only had one bike. And so because we lived near the water, we often went into the fields to a little boat, rowing boat, to pick, the brown, we call them reed cigars. Have you been, is that only in Holland? So along the canal there's long reeds.
Yeah, and then a thing on the end.
Brown, like
Yeah.
a cigar.
Yeah.
We would smoke them. But of course you didn't smoke.
Right. Not much would come out.
And so, but we collected those. And, okay. So we would lie on the side of the street on our bellies, and we would collect number plates.
Yeah.
So, for instance, not the one of your, each province had a different, so the one in your own province, that was not. So, comes from, oh, and if there was someone from Belgium, my God. And at
Really?
night, you would put it in at neat. You
On
had a
what?
special book. Well, instead of scribble, you would then,
Oh yeah.
and then collecting cigar. The thing that went around the cigar?
Yeah. Little wrapping paper.
Yeah, there would. Oh, some of them are absolutely. They're pictures,
Yeah.
and they still are, I think. But there are so many types. So we had a special book to put that in, and of course stamps. We collected stamps. Those are the. I think. Those are the. And then. You know what I mean by top? It's a pear-shaped with a steel pin.
Spinning top.
Oh.
Yes,
Like.
yes. Two ways. One and then you threw it, and it. Yeah. The
Yeah.
other one was the same way, but you kept it going with a whip.
Oh. Yeah.
Because in Amsterdam we had plenty of room at the end of the street. There was always a big area where we played soccer, and of course, marbles
Yeah.
in a hole next to the door. Two ways in the hole, or about 10 in a row, and you had a lead ball,
Yeah.
a ball bearing.
Mm.
And then what you got out of there, that was yours.
Right.
So we all had about 200 marbles, you know. That was our
Collected it.
cash.
Yeah.
Instead of money, we had marbles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about? Do you believe in any kind of higher power, like
No. No.
Just what you
well,
see and feel?
Yes. But not what we call God.
Mm.
That's why there are so many problems. There's a guy at St. Albans, he gave me the perfect answer. I can drum all right, but if I say sit in the band I did with a band with Macedonians, they tell me to shut up. So I'm a bit, I can drum. And then last year in the pub, music, da 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 da, and the guy was playing a drum, and out of and later on the guy that usually is the kingpin in the pub, he gave me the word. He said, this guy, and that is my problem sometimes, this guy is not in the groove. I found it the most perfect expression.
Yeah.
He is not in the groove. So when I'm quite good, but I'm not in the groove, that's why I said, can you stop a bit? When I think, it's okay. No, and I don't hear the difference where they hear the difference.
Mm.
So you just shut up. So the best I am, wherever I go, play too loud, miss a note, play too fast. I earn money when I play by myself. I must play by myself. I must not play with others. It stops me. So going back to our power, yes, but don't call it God. I feel that I'm in the nature's groove. I'm in the groove with the stars and the moon and I lucky enough to be in that groove. A lot of people are out. Can you know people who've always has trouble? They're always sick. They're always out of job. They're not in the groove. You can't choose, I suppose. So I consider myself extremely lucky. I am in the groove. I'm part of the power. Whether it is the stars, I'm in that same. Can you imagine what happens? The moon, the earth, move. Oh, that's incomprehensible. Not God. That's silly. So that is, if you talk about power, that is, well, the Big Bang power. So we're part of the big scene. You're now different from the movement of stars or the earth or whatever. You're the same. So you're not something important. And if you're in the groove, you're bloody lucky. Do you feel that you're in the groove? But when now I say the groove,
maybe not. I'm not sure.
but from day to day, oh, you bought a house, you bought a new company, you make it run. I think you're in a groove.
And so can you go in and out of it through your life, Art? Or it's just the way that you're kind of born? You try and get
You're
yourself
either in it
into
or
the
out
groove?
it. And no matter how many psychology book you read now, so it's the, yeah. So, no wonder these Chinese I Ching and the rune stones, they're based, they knew this already thousands of years ago, especially the Chinese. If I read my star chart, not the one in the newspaper, it's spot on. If I read the rune stones, it is spot on. My star chart is I'm a late bloomer. And my Jove, I'm a late bloomer. It's amazing. But no, I'm not troubled, but my only problem is I always fall, you always fall in love. I love women.
I think we
It's
can
am-
all agree on that.
It's
I think we can all agree on that. Do we all love
It's
women?
amazing. It's amazing. So now, maybe that's a good lesson. So I've been divorced twice, had girlfriends living, and in the end always goes wrong. So then maybe 10 years by myself, always very successful, not every, 10 years backpackers. And I still have, I don't know why, I still have children that pass me in the street that laugh at me. I'm very pleased with that. So I found that awfully pleasing that I'm still with, two divorces, and so there's something. Yeah, it takes two to gamble or to dance. So I talked to somebody and gave me a book. It was the best book ever. It says what Gandhi said. You know the expression, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth?
Yeah.
And Gandhi said, if you follow that principle, then you have a world with toothless blind people.
yeah.
So I play now the toreador. You know what I mean?
No.
You know what a toreador is?
No.
Toro means bull. The
Yeah.
toreador is a bullfighter.
Oh, yeah, the fighter, yeah.
So does he walk straight to the bull? Or does he let the bull go past?
Yeah.
And it's so clever and it works 100%.
Yeah.
So as soon as he does that,
I don't read the emails.
because if you start to yell,
The
I yell,
jukebox.
and you yell, and it is nothing else but yelling, and maybe, especially when people are drunk, or yeah, it works wonders. So I suppose out of all this, that's the best thing. Play the toreador. It's not that you're losing, no, because you have to work with what you have. But I never got out of the groove because my family, there was never a yell in my family. It was the most peaceful family. It's amazing. I said to her the other day, my father he didn't know how to yell. You know that I swear a lot. She said, you're an old angry man. I said, no, finally. I said, no, it's not angry. I'm a frustrated man. Writing the books, I am a perfectionist. So if I'm writing and I drop my pen, godverdomme, I'm not an angry man. I'm just frustrated. If I knock this over, man, I demolish the world. It's in my system. My grandfather was like, yeah. So we have this temper, not because we're an angry person. So yes, play the toreador. When I went into merchant navy, I never followed. I'm best by myself. I never followed. So on board the ship, you have 30 people. So you have, say, 5 or 6 officers. So 4 on, 8 off. So most of them, they sit after work. They sit in one another's cabin, have a beer. No. I studied 3 courses by correspondence: Spanish correspondence, French commercial correspondence, English commercial correspondence. You can't come in, I'm working. But not the you're not good enough for me. No. My cabin was a nightclub. Even with, I called it Copacabana. Have you ever Copacabana?
Yeah.
And so, half an hour before dinner, that was Copacabana. Guitar, singing, violin, and so singing that, and then dinner, and that's it. But other than that, no, don't come. I have no time for you.
Very organized.
So much so that, I should be dead. I should be dead in the Atlantic Ocean. Sometimes I sat tied to the desk with the rope around me in the chair, because the ship would go 45, and one day I thought, this is it. So we were in the eye of a hurricane in the middle of the ocean. What is that called? The air pressure, the barometer.
I think so.
Yeah. The only man was actually pathetic was the captain himself. He was with his lighter, things, and it's amazing that moment of, well, you're going to die. I thought it was quite peaceful.
Yeah.
That you say, not, I'm going to, no. Oh, that's it. And it never happened. I still have a photograph. Wow.
Were you inside your cabin or your?
Well, I stood on the bridge then.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
Outside.
Well, old-fashioned ship, yeah, outside.
Right.
No,
It was
mostly
enclosed by
outside. Yeah,
glass.
yeah, old-fashioned ships. And so, so that never happened.
Wasn't there didn't something awful happen after you quit the Navy? Didn't a boat sink or something? Soon after you left?
My ship was bought Helena. I named Helena after my ship. I was 4 years on it, second officer.
Yeah.
And yes, I must have told you that. South America, Indian Ocean, Pacific Ocean. and it broke in two here.
Huh.
Not in my company, but so it broke in two. There were all these ships called. My company always had mythological names: Helena, Hestia, Hecuba, Poseidon, Bacchus. Yeah, very interesting. Triton. Yeah. And the funny thing is, we used to have dead shit ships, dead shit color, black, whole ship black, and two white. And then they changed the color, and guess what? The color the same as the Sackville ferry.
Yeah.
When I sit on the bloody ferry, I thought,
That's
am I
exactly-
still on the boat? That red and that, yeah, it's amazing. Exactly the same color. So I'd love to be on the ferry.
Just go back and forth.
What was it like when you first fell in love?
When I was 5,
Oh, really?
I had 3 girlfriends. And the funny thing that you say that, because the 3 were in my dream last night, and driving to North Richmond, I tried their names. I know their names again. 2 Nelly and 1 Jopie. Now, Jopie was, oh no, no, not 5. When we went to Amsterdam, she was my girlfriend in the village, so we were allowed to have she come over. So she came to Amsterdam, and we lived then on the 3rd floor, and so she was allowed to come to my place. So that's the first. And my mother lived in the northern, where the Frisian cows come from. So holidays, we didn't go to Spain, we went to my aunt. Fantastic. And of course there was always a girlfriend. So, but later on, it didn't work. When I was in high school, I never had a girlfriend. It only came when I was 20. Oh, at the Naval College, I always had girlfriends here. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, fell in love, yeah. So I already fall in love when I was 5, so we could establish that fact.
It was like Chris in preschool.
An extension of that question.
Oh, really? Yeah. How do you think the world's changed since you, from when you can remember when you were in Holland and the way it is now?
Well, I wouldn't say 100%, but certainly 80%.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think my father would not have existed today.
Yeah.
And that's why it was good that people don't live, say, 150 if they couldn't manage.
Mm.
See, as I say, last 2 weeks we went to Parramatta, and I decided, hang on, that is not my scene anymore.
Mm.
So when you brought up with horse and cart, and literally it was horse and cart, and the milkman coming and horse and cart, and the kerosene men coming to see if you need kerosene, and all these people coming to, and in Amsterdam, people with hand carts, apples, pears, that. The friendliness is out of it.
Mm.
The simpleness is out of it. So during the war, via the church, kids in Amsterdam went to the country. So I went to a farmer during school holidays. They died a couple of years ago. Always been my best friends. I was 12 then. And so milking cows by hand. Yeah, so it was much slower. When my car was stolen about 15 years ago, I came from Holland and I hadn't insured my car, so I went around on a push bike for a whole year. And when I bought a new car, the first few months, 60 was my limit.
Mm.
And now on Ketter Road in my youth, 120.
Mm.
So I can see now that the speed and the cars, that's why what they call no-hopers, or people that have no car and just walk, you know, the people that don't work,
Not in the groove.
their whole thinking is the same speed as their physical.
Yeah.
Because as I said about the car, well, it took me 2 months. I said, what, 50, 60? Good. So back to 80. So the whole speed of things, there is a surge that that in the end old people can't hack anymore. It's like a strong current that you can't stop.
What do you think happens after this life?
Oh, it's going to end.
Like
It's
just
going to-
blackness?
oh,
or
absolutely,
some-
it
there's
cannot-
some kind of soul
See,
that you
there are
have.
now so many people sick, and they keep on fucking, and they keep on having sick people, and it's only that it keeps the pharmaceutical and the doctors going. That's not a nasty, because I'm also having a pacemaker, but there's far too many unhealthy people, Down syndrome people that also have children, people with no legs, and they have. So in the end, this generation, no, maybe next generation. Well, before us there were other people. We are not the first. So I'm convinced that this has to finish. It cannot keep on going. People getting worse and worse, killing and mentally insane, drugs. It's got to finish. And you know, one hit and the world is kaput. 2 buttons. You do this and I do this. Thing. So it's got to finish. Either all, but of course, that is now a philosophy and a thought, but it must not stop you from living.
Yeah.
You can have it in the back of your mind, but it must not affect you. Otherwise, you might as well stop now.
Mm. Do you think people, when you were younger, or even Australia and Holland, like, you know, you talk about your grandma, the way she was, and you have like a similar lifestyle maybe. Do you think people were happier in those days? Or they were more content with less expectations?
That is difficult to say. It's better to say they have no choice. They had no choice. And they were... When I was in Vietnam, you see people, a whole family, 5, 6 people, one room, in one room, and a motorbike, and these people always laugh. Vietnamese people are always pleasant people, and they have nothing.
Yeah.
There used to be a woman that would sit with some vegetables. From 5 o'clock in the morning till she had sold her last bunch, maybe on the side of the curb. From 5 o'clock, no problem. Because, well, that's what she does. And isn't it amazing that our downfall of the Western world is the temptation. So my grandmother, as you say, my grandfather was a hairdresser and an entertainer. So there was not lack of money, but we call in Holland, every 10 cents was turned around before it was spent. You know? And another thing, typical, you would laugh at it. sugar only on a Sunday. So people were very economic, not stingy, but economic. Well, economic. They didn't have the money. They didn't have the money, so they didn't spend. So there was not hire purchase and there was not credit cards. So I would say, were they happy? Yes. Not in the sense that you think happy. I don't think that occurred to them whether they're happy or not.
Mm.
I think it's more like, that's life. Tomorrow, yesterday, people come. Go. No, it was more, I don't know, a way of living. One didn't think about it. My father's father didn't go to school. He couldn't read. But he was very, he made chimneys. And he built 2 houses. Never went to school. I used to read stories to him. But you couldn't cheat him out of 10 cents. So, yeah, one didn't ask whether they're happy enough. Not even, can we make it tomorrow? No. I think it was the routine that kept them going. This is how it is. This is the money you have. This is what we can spend. Did you honestly think that my grandfather went on holidays? No. And they didn't miss it.
Mm. So in your lifetime, what do you think's been the what do you think's been the period where you think society was most healthy or happy? When your grandma was alive, I guess would have been a lot of things, like it would have been health problems that people died from, or they had like maybe sore teeth that people couldn't do anything about. So in some ways things are better. We can obviously heal people better, and if you're in pain, they can do more about it.
Yeah, they died early of asthma, both my grandmothers.
Did things get better and better, and then in your lifetime you think things are now going backwards in some way? Like maybe in the 50s or something? Or
No, not backwards. It's going forwards, but not forwards in a good way. Because the more money you have, the more devious, and the higher you up go. So forget about politicians. The higher you go up, the more corrupt you are. You have no choice. So you have to cut out. So when I say I went to people, and so the best thing is I myself working by myself, school teacher alone, taxi driving alone, playing accordion by myself, because then I'm in charge. As soon as I part of, say, a club, I have trouble. Because in a club there are people that run the world are not the most intelligent people. So I'm always in trouble. If I come with good ideas, no. I've never been able to, so as I say, incompetence is not to stop you from going higher up. But super confidence, that's jealousy. And what time is it now?
yeah, it's going to be dark. Eh?
You reckon it's 3 o'clock?
Oh, okay. I'll leave it for. Oh yeah.
Do you think could you play a little tiny bit of piano accordion for us?
Oh yeah.
Good morning.